In case someone missed some parts of the talks, firstly, Joanna is a lead scientist in Molecular Plasma Group. We've heard a lot about their very interesting research, but I would just add that Joanna has done her PhD in physical chemistry from Zurich and then decided to pursue a career bit of outside of academia, but still doing research. We also have Adam Korebut-Kotulewski from Blue Dot Solutions and Space Free AC. We've also had the presentation of the program. And yeah, we have a very young guest who's also doing research already. That's okay. We'll have a brief... that's all right. I think she can stay if she wants. We do have Jakub Zagucki, who presented us the Swarm Check company and the Optimum Pareto Foundation's work. And finally, our team member, but also and primarily an assistant professor here at the Center for Entrepreneurship at TU Berlin, Maciek Mrożewski. So please welcome with a claps them all. And the discussions on academic innovation have been part of the SPP conferences for quite some time. This year, we've decided to do it a bit differently. That's why we have two representatives of case studies, startups who are doing extensive work with R&D, who are merging the academic work and research with the business approach. And we have two representatives of the more support side of the ecosystem, of the startups, academic startups ecosystem, who will also share their experiences and their insights into how it's done in Germany, in Poland, and what could we look for if we decide to go that way. So I'll ask a few questions, firstly, independently to each of you, and then we will hopefully start some productive discussions. So Joanna, as one of the case studies, yeah, I'm really interested in your journey. So when you were towards the end of the PhD, what options were you considering? Why did you choose to pursue that option? And why did you decide to go into startups, not large companies?
Yeah, so for my PhD, I did very basic research, and towards the end of it, I realized that there was really a lack of interest in what the industry needs, and that was my personal experience, that people were not really interested in how the technology and how the research can bring something to the society, something that you can have as a product in your hand. So I really decided to pursue an industrial career, and the whole startup environment and ecosystem was very different because it's very fast. So you have to make decisions very quickly, go, no-go decisions, which direction you're going, how quickly adapt to how is the research evolving. So for me, that was really fascinating. That you really have to be flexible and think about the product at the end.
So it's less boring. That's what you're saying.
You can put it like this, to me personally. So it's a personal choice.
Yeah, personal choice. That was what I was going to say. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Jakub. What were your thoughts when you, as a lawyer, were considering or were starting the foundation and starting Swarm Check, and also what was your journey as a company? Why did you choose the MITF acceleration program? What have you learned during this way, which was quite unique, and you wouldn't have a chance to do that in academia?
Yeah, so we started our startup journey after first running NGO, and it was very funny because we didn't wanted to start the startup, and we did by accident when we were thinking to leverage our risk of our foundation, because when we are running from several grant projects. We thought that something goes wrong, the whole foundation will be dead and our efforts will be finished. So we started a limited liability company, and then we just started to think, okay, so this is some good idea to monetize with this our thoughts and ideas. And when we go to MIT, because basically our idea is very hard to explain, and people don't get how we can help with the argumentation to make better decisions. And we wanted to go there to have the opportunity to work with the expert and also with the whole 24 steps program. And it helped us a lot, yeah. And when we got there, we have completely different view how our startup would look like. After these 3 months, we know a lot more, and right now we really are ready to make some good products, deliver our IT system, and also have hire good people.
A quick follow-up, I think, to both of you, because you are combining, as you mentioned also in your presentations and right now, you're combining this will of making a positive impact on the world with a strictly business venture, which is a company. How does that work for you? Because I think it's important for many researchers to make a positive impact, and as you said, Joanna, maybe it's actually easier to do that as in a company. So do you have any hard decisions to make between impact and profit, or how does that work? Or there is really no problem, and in fact it's working better than in academia?
For us, it's not a problem. The problem is for the venture capitals or other institutions who are willing to invest in you, because we are not willing to make. Our goal is not to make the highest profit as we can, because we really want to make the highest impact. So sometimes I have discussions with investors and we are saying, okay, your offer is very good, but we are not interested to working with you because you've got different goals. And we are making basically all things by our own, and it was really hard for the first year. But right now we have some ideas how to run it, and everything for us is good, so we are somehow doing it.
For me, it was very difficult to realize what's the combined impact, but also the timeline on when you can make an impact. So you can't really pursue a goal that's really, really far away, and that's gonna take all of your resources, and you can't really count on the result. So sometimes you have to make decisions of what's more probable, what's gonna give you a result quicker, and that's something you're not really used to when you're coming from academia.
Thank you. And now, Mate, because in your work, at least as far as I know, one of the aims of your work here at the TU is helping the companies being born at the TU or coming to the TU to gain funds and from the Exist program. So could you tell us a bit more about the Exist program and how are you doing that? So how are you taking researchers to get some money?
Exactly. We here at the Center for Entrepreneurship, which is the second largest academic entrepreneurship center in Germany, we are trying to support people like you with innovative ideas or business ideas based on technological innovation. We are so lucky that there is a governmental program in Germany called Exist, which is a very powerful program, as it is helping young scientists, but also graduates and students to found a business basically without any risk. Because Exist is providing a scholarship to scientists, students or graduates for 1 year. It's not taking any equity, it's not a loan, and this scholarship is paid for 12 months. So this means you have 12 months time to make your business idea happen. If you fail, you didn't lose anything. Yeah? Okay, your time, but you didn't lose your money. And here at the Center for Entrepreneurship, we are dealing first of all with this program, and we are trying to help our students and our scientific staff to get accepted to this Exist program. We have a certain process, and for the moment we have a success rate which is very close to 100%. So if we say you could qualify for the Exist program, the likelihood is very high that this startup will really also enter the governmental program Exist.
So if anyone has looked at their bank accounts recently and found not enough money, I think he's the good guy to talk to after the conference. But I'm follow up again about the Exist. So what do you think are the challenges when someone comes to you and wants to write the application for Exist? What are the challenges that you face when talking to researchers when writing these applications? What are the most common problems they face? Do you remember anything, or is it just normal work?
I think the most common problem is actually that researchers are not aware of this program, and then that we have really to invest a lot into communication, that this program exists, and that being an entrepreneur can be an alternative to the scientific path. So this is like the first problem. And the second problem is that, at least in Germany, we lack this entrepreneurial spirit, I would say. Yeah. So when I ask my German students if they can imagine to found a business, I would say that maybe 10% or maybe 20% say yes, and the rest is, why should I found a business if I can work for Mercedes or BMW for 3,000 euro net right after my graduation? Yeah. So this is something which is not an easy task, yeah, to convince scientists and graduates to engage in entrepreneurship.
All right, thank you, Adam. We've heard a lot about about your work as a company, and especially about the Poland Prize program, helping to relocate startups to Poland. But Blue Dot Solutions is known for helping other companies in Poland in this specific and quite hard industry, which is the space industry, to develop. So how are you exactly doing that? What do you think is the contribution you as a Blue Dot can have, the influence that you have on these other startups?
Well, first of all, I'm really happy that Blue Dot Solutions is known to help startups in Poland. I mean, we knew we were some kind of famous in Poland, but I didn't know many people knew it around. But yeah, I think it's the easiest because we started as a startup as well. We began, we had the same problems that many startups have. We managed to, we were in the business for the last 4 years, so actually we are not a startup anymore, but we were since, well, for 4 years, for some years we were a startup. And just seeing what kind of needs small companies have. And as I said, we started in the space business. So the founders really space astronomy fans. And that's how they met. Actually, they met on the forums talking about astronomy. And then they just said that let's make a startup about space because there's not many in Poland. And somehow it managed to work. The thing is, we try to help as well, trying to make our brand as widely spread in Poland as possible. So we try to help small companies, small Polish experts with many programs from Galileo, from Copernicus. Those are programs that are founded by ESO from the European Union, but are trying to promote space technology startups in Poland. As I said before today, we try to focus less and less on space because it's such a small area in Poland. There's not many companies just trying to fulfill some space needs. But yeah, we try to make a few editions of Space 3AC. We're trying to promote small companies which do not have maybe the knowledge and most of them are engineers or scientists, and because we started as well as just a few scientists, a few engineers, and then we started hiring more and more people which were more business or lawyers or economists. We're trying to build a working company. Now we see as well, when we do our accelerators, we know what we can tell to our startups, like, look, you should focus on this and this as well. Just having scientists and engineers, sometimes it's not enough. Having the idea is great, but it will fail if you don't have enough people who are really engaged in the process.
All right, so yeah, just to follow up, do I interpret it correctly that it's mainly the sort of business side and management side maybe that you are helping with, that you feel that that there is a need?
We're
Because
also
the,
giving
from
money,
the
but
yeah,
it's
and getting
also-
money.
Yeah, it's yes, it's mentoring, business and technical mentoring, but as well there's grants and there's well, not grants, but funds that without equity, so without proving what the money is giving for, we're not taking any shares of the startups that we invest in, and this money is usually from most Polish agencies or European agencies. So we are like a middleman a bit, but we're trying to help small Polish companies.
Brilliant, thank you all. And now I would like to ask a general question to all of you, and I'm very keen to hear your opinions. So imagine an early career researcher, maybe coming to us a PhD, maybe coming to us the end of postdoc, maybe just finishing their masters, but someone who is keen on doing science and research and having an impact on the world. And they are considering either joining a startup or forming one and maybe trying this career path. What do you consider to be the things that they need to take into evaluation when they're choosing their career path, whether to stay in academia, go to industry, or pursuing career? What do you value most, or do you feel is something that can really drive them towards success? Is it, I don't know, ability to get money? Is it the team that they have already, like group of 2 or 3 people who they are working with? Is it the idea that it's verified from a business side? Is it some skills that are outside of their technical expertise, such as business selling skills or management skills? What do you think?
So from my point of view, what's really important is a good business plan of a startup. So when you move from academia to business, really, you need to be able to sell it. You need to know how you're going to sell it, where are you going to sell it, to whom are you going to sell it. And to be honest, as a researcher, you need support on the business side. And that's something to not be forgotten. I've seen many startups which developed a product without really thinking about who's the recipient of that product, without really going into depth of thinking, how am I going to sell it? Where am I going to sell it? Are they interested? Often you miss the concept. When you start talking to people who want to buy your idea, buy your product, they'll give you tips. They'll tell you what they need, and you should be really flexible in adapting your idea to the actual market need. And you're not going to save the world for everyone, but you're going to make a huge impact for this small community which you're targeting.
So be more focused and learn from the people that you want to sell it to.
In the end, it's business, right? You're
Yeah.
not going to run for many years just applying for startup grants. It's very good at the beginning to get you running, but in the end, the company should sustain itself. So you really need to have a plan on how to monetize it and how to sustain your company, the people that are working with you on your idea.
And to add up to this as well, knowing what your target is most important. But I think for someone who's not a technical person, who's not an engineer or scientist, I see that many of you, sometimes you have a great idea that is maybe seen too widely. So you may think that this idea can be used in many fields, and this makes it really hard to find, let's say, a client, because you start not focusing on what you actually can solve with your idea, with your product, but you start thinking, oh, we could do this, and this make it pretty impossible to, let's say, even invest in a company that doesn't really know, doesn't have a really clear solution. We're going to do this, and for now, we're just going to focus on this. And many startups at the beginning, as you said, don't have a clear path. They don't really know what problem they will solve, and they try, well, we know this really well, so we're just going to try everywhere, and it's not the way it should go. It's logical to think like this at the beginning, like, oh, well, we're going to try everywhere because someone's going to buy it. It's way easier to do like a really specific product and just aim it at a client or a group of clients.
Yeah, you basically said things I wanted to say. That first is the business plan, and another you have to know your customers. And maybe another thing is that you should validate your ideas very quickly. That not start building your product or your services first, but really have some few hypothesis. You're gonna really check with the market, check with the customers, and then we've got good reaction from the market. You can go further steps. And I think time is the most important. And when it comes to startup, because even you've got a great idea, you can spend 2 years, going from one door to another, not knowing what to do. And in this time, it comes up that 3 other companies manage to be faster than you. So also you have to get a great team, because without a great team, you're not gonna do anything. And also a luck, I think. Yeah, you find some good people on your way, and you also get some interesting ideas.
I completely agree with you. I agree with you only partly. So I think going out and talking to people is probably the most important thing. A business plan is helpful because you get a basic understanding, especially if you don't have a business background, of the market, of the competition. But in my opinion, it's more important to go out as soon as possible and to talk optimally to your customers and ask them whether that what you created is actually helpful or whether someone needs this or not. I know many students who were writing excellent business plans for 1 year. They were receiving this Exist scholarship, and after that they had to quit because simply there was no market for their excellent product and their excellent business plan. So I think it makes sense to talk to people as soon as possible and to ask for feedback. And I know that, for example, in Poland there is still people are still afraid of telling about the business idea, that someone might steal it. But I think the talking to people, it has more advantages than disadvantages. Yeah, because you're getting feedback from the market, from your customers, and this is probably more important than protecting your idea, which is only an idea in the beginning. However, there is the problem that entrepreneurship education, at least at German universities, is still focused on business planning. So because this is like a structure, it's quite easy to teach this. But we here at the Center for Entrepreneurship, we are trying to go more into this lean startup area. So we try to convince our students not to write business plans, but rather, okay, to create a business model and to test it as soon as possible.
Yeah, because Maciek, you are also maintaining very strong ties with the Polish academia, and especially in the area of entrepreneurship, and you have students going on exchanges, German students to Poland, Polish students coming here. And you also mentioned that, well, the attitude of the German students is often to go to work to the big industry. It's quite hard for them to motivate them to start a company. What are the differences actually between the Poland and Germany from your experience?
Well, I think we are a very entrepreneurial nation. Yeah, so I think Poles are very entrepreneurial. Germans are not as entrepreneurial because they have, well, too many alternatives. Yeah, so the opportunity costs for Germans are simply higher, yeah, because they have so many different options after graduating, especially from TU Berlin. When you're an engineer, you go to a big company and, well, you earn a lot of money, so why should you take on this risky action and found a business? And in Poland, well, you don't have to lose that much, so you can give it a try. Yeah, so this would be my explanation. But I think there's also another important difference, that Poles are very much short-term oriented. So when I talk to Polish students, they expect return on investment in a very short time frame. So after 1-2 years, they want to be profitable, while Germans, they are focused on the product, they are focused on the technology, and sometimes they forget about earning money. Yeah? So we have students in our program which are still working on the technology since 5 years. They still get government funding, different programs not only exist, and they are still working on the technology, and they never talk to a customer, or they don't know whether their product actually makes sense. So I would say that here we have an advantage over Germany, that we are forced to be profitable as soon as possible, and that's why our products might be more market-oriented than those very innovative and technology-oriented products of German students and graduates.
Thank you. Are there any further comments, or that's fine? So I have one more question, and then we are going to open the discussion to the audience. So if anyone has comments or questions, then they will be more than welcome in a minute. But my final question is, okay, so we have this young researcher / last year student, and he has or she has considered all the options, and she has decided to, maybe go that way, maybe start a startup. Where do you think he or she should go to get support, not only in terms of money, but as you said, also mentoring and coaching, and maybe find team members? And also, if you have an experience and you'd like to share that, is the difference, so is it worth doing in Poland, or is it worth doing abroad, or especially in Germany, since we are in Germany? So what are the differences in the ecosystem as well? Whoever wants first.
Okay. It's a very hard question because it depends on the stage on you are. If you are at completely beginning, I think it's good way to go some hackathons or other events when you can in 2 days or 1 day really quickly check your idea. When you have a team and you started working, it's good when you go to some incubator. And when you start your path, they are learning you the management skills and what the sales is and how to check your customers' problems. And when you have a stability and your idea is some kind of valid and it's good, then you go to some accelerators, which are helping you to grow faster and really focus most on the selling and the marketing. So it's hard to say in really one. It's not one good idea, but I think that going to other many events is the best thing you can do when you're starting a business.
Yeah, I agree as well. And this, I think it also depends what's the position of your startup. If you, let's say, start to you want to still evolve your technology, so you don't have a technology ready yet, you should start to get some grants to work on it. And if you do have it, and if you want to sell it, then use accelerators, then use investors to grow. So it depends as well. If you have a almost ready product, then you should really, if you have it, you should, as we said, use accelerators and investors. As if it's better in Poland or Germany, I think it all depends really of what you're aiming for. I think for Berlin, being the capital of startups in Europe, it's really competitive here. In Poland, there's less startups. I think there's I don't know how many programs in Germany to help startups. In Poland, there's really a lot. Sometimes there's way more programs than startups actually applying. So if you have a startup and you really want to, I'm not only talking about Space 3AC, there's many other programs in Poland you can really apply. And I think Poland is really, really trying to get more innovative, even if maybe it's not there yet as a country. Maybe we're not yet ready to have so many innovative solutions. But I think Poland is trying to fit with Europe. So I think it all depends what kind of opportunities you have, what's the stage of your startup. But I would say come to Poland because I mean Space 3AC, Poland Prize at space3.ac. That's the website. Thank you.
For me, I think at the beginning it's very important to not try to do everything yourself. So find a team, find someone who's equally excited as you are about your idea, but who has a slightly different perspective, experience, etc. So I come from a strictly research background, and I need the support on the business side. If someone else is really good on the business side, is really good on going to these events, pitching, presenting, getting funds, well, then someone else needs to do the technical part. And if you try to do everything yourself, you're very quickly going to find yourself drifting, and time is going to be passing really quickly before you actually get anything materialized, let's say.
So if your business idea is technology-based or innovative, then in my opinion, you should definitely approach your entrepreneurship center at your university, at least in Germany. I know that all the major universities, they have either centers for entrepreneurship or technology transfer offices. Just go there, tell them, hey, I have a business idea. I don't know if it makes sense. Can you help me with this? I heard about Exist. And they will help you. I think this could be the first step. And Exist is really a very powerful program. So since the beginning of this program in 2007, around 2,000 startups and spin-offs were supported by this program. Yeah, so every year around 150, 160 startups are financed by this program. So it's not a small program. Yeah, it's rather a big governmental support program for scientific entrepreneurs. So it's directed to you, people like you. And the first step should be approaching a center for entrepreneurship like ours, or a similar institution at your university. So that's my recommendation.
I do have a few follow-ups, but maybe I'll keep them for later. So now, if anyone has a comment or question, we will take, I think, 2 at a time, and I will give them to the... Yep, please.
Great. Interesting talk. Well, I'm the only having a tie here, right? So old-fashioned, 65 plus. But still, I was the vice president of TU Dortmund University and was responsible for research and Exist program. I know quite well. But I have another question to you, which is, who of you, now I will ask them, right? Who of you within last 3 months had contact with, business contact, with somebody from academia looking for advice or whatever? Who of you? 2, right? Okay. You as well, right? Everybody, fine. Who of you have a contact with Polish representative of academia? Fine. So it's a quite good result. That's fine. So I'm very glad of that. It means that you need also the Polish know-how. The second question is that I could divide you into 2 parts. The first are makers, and the second part are helpers. Yeah, and usually, well, if I look on helpers, I always ask myself, do I need them? I ask makers, did you ever consider to contact helpers? Or did you contact helpers? You?
Yeah, of course. For us, helpers was the MIT program, and it was, could give us good insights of our idea and our path. And we also sometimes get contact to experts, which with them are working till today.
And it helped?
Yeah, a lot.
And what about you?
Yes, actually, very recently. So we're always in contact with Lux Innovation. So this is a Luxembourg innovation accelerator hub. It's an organization to help facilitate businesses. And actually, very recently, they encouraged us to go and apply to a new program because they think that this is where we could benefit. And purely out of this contact now, is this initiative, we've been just awarded an additional research grant. So it's very important to always be in touch with these people, because otherwise we would not know about it. And yeah, they're really helping out, and also helping to establish you on the, let's say, business landscape. And
Yeah. Yes, I can't help myself but ask a follow-up. What is the help that you would like to get, or you wanted to help at some part, that it was really hard to find from these helpers? So, or is there anything like that? Or did you receive the mentoring, the help that you needed?
In our case, it was very funny because it always took an hour or 2 to help us understand what we are doing. And after when they get it, our idea and our plan, they started to get into good points for us. And yeah, I think that can be summarized in this.
So for me, it's actually the second startup I've been involved with. Previously, I spent 3 years in a startup in Switzerland, and a lot of the discussion with the helpers over there, because it's such a huge landscape for startups, and everyone wants to do everything. Everyone wants to help you. Nothing concrete ever came out. So I have both sides of this experience, and actually last week was a very positive, high-impact type of experience, but previously it's been a lot of talking, and that's it.
I would add as well as maybe here as a helper, but actually our company as well, as I said, started as a startup a few years ago, and even now helping still help us as well. So first of all, of course, it's a way of it's a business. We are in the private sector. But on the other hand as well, because we have now the opportunity, we have to, let's say, get the best mentors, the best business people, we're trying to advise other companies by our, let's say, contractors that are business people. We learn from this as well. So I think these few editions of Accelerators helped us as much as we helped. So as helpers, we grow as well. So it's also helping us.
Do you want to comment as well, or?
Yes, very shortly. I think it also depends whether you have like public helpers and private helpers. I think public programs are great for early stage or seed stage startups, or for people who only have a business idea. But my recommendation is not to stick too long to this public financing, but rather going out and looking for private investors, because first of all, they have a better market knowledge, they have better contacts, and secondly, they will also expect more from you, and this will give you a push to go out to the market and to become profitable. So the later the development stage of a startup, the more important it is to have the right helpers, like for example venture capital funds.
Okay, thank you all, and thank you for the question. Do we have any more? Yes, there is one, and there is another one that we'll take.
Yes, so my question is, why actually startup? There are other forms of innovative market approach, like spin-offs, and I was recently interviewed for a job within a huge organization which tries to do a little team within itself, which is supposed to conquer a new market space for that company, yeah? So why startup? Why not spin-off? Why not join a huge organization and offer them to be part of the team with all the safety and security? Like Mercedes-Benz engineer.
Yeah, was there another question, or? No, I think that's fine. So if you could comment on that.
It's a good question, and it obviously depends on if you're talking about spin-offs, about the institution that you're spinning off from. Part of the story of MPG, of Molecular Plasma Group, is that it started as 2 separate spin-offs that were kind of trying to be pulled from by venture capital on one end to make it faster, and by the mother institution that was saying, hey guys, hey, too fast, slow down. So being a spin-off that's really attached to the mother institution made everything almost impossible within the current framework of that place. So I guess, you know, it depends on your situation and on the environment that you're in. If you want to say, let's cut the ties and start something completely different, let's do it your way, or whether you're really confident in the support network that you have, and you prefer to say, hey, let's stay and develop this kind of on the side.
Yeah, I would say as well, I totally agree, but as well it depends of the person who you are. I mean, a lot of people, especially, well, not in Poland as well, in Germany as well, you start startups not because if you don't have any money to buy food, you will not start a startup. I mean, you may not have money for food after you start a startup, but the thing is, people who start startups want to create something that it's theirs. Spinoffs are a bit different, but startups, I think, if you really want to make a mark or you really believe in yourself and your idea because you think, well, nobody thought about this or maybe in a different way. So I also think it depends all of the person. Some people would prefer just working in Mercedes-Benz or anywhere else, and it's perfectly fine, but it depends of I think deep down how you were born, how you were raised, and how you just want to. And I think it's life. Yeah, it's a lifestyle, and I think it's not a good or bad one. It just depends what you want in life.
Just add maybe one quick comment that in life sciences often you need a lot of very expensive equipment, and if you think about that support network, that's something that might be necessary for you, because you're not going to go and buy an SEM, or even if you're a company and you want to use an SEM externally at a university, you realize how extremely expensive it is. So from the technological point of view, you might actually need to stay so that you have access to all of the technology that you want to use and utilize. So.
Any more comments, Maciek or Kuba? Yeah, okay, so then a question.
Yeah, but this is like on a different topic. So I wanted to ask about kind of your personal stories, and especially if you've been doing a relatively unindustrial research or not particularly applied research, when was the first time you've realized that this could be useful for this group? And then this is kind of the second question. How did you take it on from there? Since Joanna kind of mentioned the kind of pivoting and trying to find the market fit, like how did that process look like from this first realization to being successful?
That's a tough one. So.
Well, so maybe I would also say to your previous question that also, for example, I didn't have the legal background, so the startup was the best way to start our company. And what about our research? Also, our story is not so. We are not basically from the academia. We're just working with in NGO, working to help run with some good dialogues, and then we came out to the idea that we have idea for the methodology, how it could be better to people to communicate, and we started to follow it. We find all the logical fallacies and argumentation fallacies. And we did it by ourselves with the help of the helpers and experts. We just came door to door and help, okay, we are guys, we've got some idea, could you help us with this? And it came out in such way. So our story is not so straight and from academia, but we somehow managed to do it.
As Blue Dot Solutions, as I said before, it was established by space enthusiasts. So it was more, what can we do in Poland? What kind of, how can we work with space technologies, but still work in Poland, be a Polish company and work for Polish clients? And it began as maybe trying to figure out what kind of downstream, so everything that's used, all the signals sent by satellites, so every satellite images or satellite data, GPS or Galileo systems. So we tried to use this as trying to present companies that, look, you have a problem that you may not even know that you have a problem, it can be solved with the use of, let's say, satellite data, that we have a satellite going around the Earth every day and taking a picture of the same place every day. So you have your facility, 365 pictures every day. So we tried to really present space technologies to clients, but it was pretty interested in a lot of venture capitals were interested. We also took part in accelerator programs, so we as well used the help of helpers, because we were lost a bit at the beginning, and we tried to just maybe use space technology as something that can be really helpful, because we realized that in Poland it's not as evolved as in other countries, and a lot of companies don't even know that they can solve problems with GPS or satellite data. So yeah, we were helped as well by helpers and by VC capitals and by accelerators.
Maciek, you have any comments, because you're from the helpers side, so I suppose.
So I'm not sure if I can answer this question. Yeah, so I rather have nothing to add.
Yep.
Yeah, we have mentioned the Exist program, Maciek, and that also Maciek presented the program last year, and I remember one of the feedbacks from one of the partners last year was, oh no, like in Germany, they give you €2,500 scholarship for a year just so that you can live within a kind of a bubble, a dream that you can create a startup.
Now it's 3,000.
Great. Great.
Yeah, but only 12 months.
So 3,000, and like one of the Polish institutions of this ecosystem of innovations was really jealous, and they are until today jealous that Germany can still support such a funding. But you mentioned that you have students working for the 5th year on technology and never talk to the customer. Like, sorry for a comparison, but isn't that a socialist entrepreneurship in these terms?
Yes, I think so. And that's why I said, okay.
That kills the idea of entrepreneurship. It's about risk.
Yes, but it's a trap. Public money can be a trap. And even if some startups will enter this trap, this doesn't mean that the other startups are doing this. Yeah, so we can observe that many startups from our center, they are in this trap. Yeah, so they are for the 5th, 6th year funded by other governmental programs. So they are getting the money from the government without having any customer. And this is like easy money. But the majority of our startups, they leave the program after 12 months, and they first of all get investment from private investors, from venture capital funds, business angels, and they have a product or at least a prototype which they can use to pitch and to acquire money. Yeah, but yes, of course, 10-20% of those startups are really it seems that they are not really interested in entering the market. Yeah? It's rather about working on the technology until the end of the days. Yeah? So that's also interesting to see. It's relatively high. To be honest, I don't know exactly, but it's relatively high. I would say it's still 60 or 70% 1 year after they left Exist, but this doesn't mean that they are profitable. They as I said already, some companies are still in this public financing scheme, and I wouldn't say that they are successful. They are alive. Sorry? Yeah, so I wouldn't say they are successful, but 70% of the companies which left Exist, they are still active. Yeah? So even 1 year after they left. But I don't know the exact figure.
So as well, from our accelerators, most, I would say 80 to 90% are still active. So same, they may not be profitable, but they are still alive. And if you look that they don't receive any more funding, and maybe they got funding from private sectors, that it shows that maybe they are in, maybe they believe in what they're doing, because if they just took the money, they could just close the company after the acceleration program. So actually, even most of them really tried to do. Of course, some of them failed, some of them closed, and we could see afterwards that was just a scam. They just wanted to get the money, not really caring about fulfilling the problem. But yeah, most of them, I would say 80-90% really believe in this, and afterwards they don't receive the public money, and they still are in the market and they're still trying to survive.
It's a brief interruption. I would like to ask the question to the audience, actually. How many of you are considering pursuing this sort of path, or you are already working with a startup, or haven't thought about it at some point in your career, but then decided not to pursue that? Please raise your hands. Okay, that's more than half. Interestingly, it's almost all people from that side, not many from that side, but okay. Yeah, well, there's more people sitting here as well. All right. Next question. Yes, there is one.
Hi. So I have a question to Maciej. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understood it, you said that your program has been running for like 10 years now, and the rate is like 100 startups per year, right? Going through the program? Yeah.
Are you talking about Exist or about our Center for Entrepreneurship? Because Exist is a governmental program. You can get it everywhere in Germany.
No, I believe Center for
Our Center for Entrepreneurship. It was founded like 10 years ago. Yeah. And we had 130 startups
per year.
No, in total. So we
Oh,
have
in
like
total.
now around 25 startups in our acceleration program every year. So
Okay. So my question is, since obviously you're based here in the German ecosystem, but you're Polish, so hopefully you have like first-hand comparison between Germany's and Polish ecosystems. So what do you think Poland could do to sort of like encourage people to go towards entrepreneurship in general, and to encourage them to even pursue this sort of commercial route of development of their technologies?
I don't know whether Poland really needs to like convince the people to become an entrepreneur, because I think for every Pole, entrepreneurship is an option. At least when I ask business students at Warsaw School of Economics, most of them say, yes, I could imagine to become an entrepreneur. The question is whether they think about or whether they have this classical understanding of entrepreneurship as implementing an innovation. And I don't think it makes sense to consider entrepreneurship as a way of implementing innovation and supporting entrepreneurship in Poland. This is my personal opinion, but I'm also doing research on that, will not lead to more innovation and to technological development, because I think that in Poland we still have so many very simple business opportunities, like importing, products and selling them. So very simple business models which are still working in Poland. They wouldn't work in Germany because the markets are really saturated here. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to encourage entrepreneurship in general in Poland. It would make sense to encourage innovative entrepreneurship, and this is quite difficult. Sorry? Well, I think this Exist program is probably the most important governmental entrepreneurship support program.
I would, following this question, which is a very good one actually, do you know of any similar programs in Poland? I mean, obviously there are other ways to support as well. It doesn't have to look like Exist, but successfully working transfer technology centers at universities, or these large-scale support of academics who want to try it out? But this is a question to basically all of you.
I mean, there were many programs like those European funds you could apply for, but they were highly ineffective. So many businesses, the idea was to foster innovation through entrepreneurship, but it didn't work. So there is not a similar program like Exist in Poland. And I think that those private initiatives like this MIT Enterprise Forum are much more effective in supporting entrepreneurship in a Polish context. So I rather trust in private initiatives than in public initiatives, at least in Poland.
But you're working at a university.
Yeah, but in Germany.
All right. Adam, any comments on that? How do you see that?
Well, I mostly agree that in the long term it's better to get private investments than the public ones. And I also agree, and we talked about this yesterday actually, how much it's easier to make a business in Poland. I think if you want to start a company, it's better to start a company in Poland than in Germany. But not an innovative one, I would say. So there's so many other ways of making money and leaving a mark in Poland, because there's so many things that Poland is lacking. We still compare Poland to Germany, not to other countries in Europe. and we look at Germany as the goal that we want to achieve. And I think there's so many other ways of making a business, not maybe going to innovative startups. But I still encourage people of doing this, because in the long term, I think it would be better for the country to having already being a few years back, well, 15 years back behind Germany, and still already starting with innovative solutions, I think is going to be a good in the long term. So it all depends. If you want to start doing, let's say, money, I would say it would be way easier to import small stuff, let's say, to Poland, or do some really, it looked like stupid stuff to just produce, but because nobody's doing it in Poland, it's a good idea. But in the long term, I think innovative solutions are better, but it all depends what you want to do.
Okay, last comments from
Yeah,
you,
just
Anna.
a quick comment, because I think I've maybe have a bit of a different view on that. A lot of universities and research centers now have these little units that are made to help academic entrepreneurs to get oriented in what funds are available, what programs there are. So these are these innovation organizers, let's say. And you know, with the ever-changing landscape of available programs, number of funds, what are the requirements, etc. Now it seems like all of these institutions have people who really follow that, and if you as an academic go there, they'll be able to advise you what's the best kind of route for you, because they grasp the whole this whole type of a landscape.
Thank you. And I think with that note, we have to finish because we sort of run out of time. So I would ask for a round of applause for the panelists and for sharing their views.